Guys, so we got a relatively busy, yeah, I'd say relatively decent week ahead of us. We've got Fed Chair Powell speaking on Tuesday. We really don't have any data Monday or Wednesday, but we do have a high impact data coming in on Thursday. Unemployment claims, flash manufacturing PMI, flash services PMI, and if you go back to last week's video on YouTube I posted on Friday. We went over earnings that are coming up this week, as well as the economic calendar and the SPY and stuff like that. So I have yet to actually look at any futures at all. So we'll see how we've opened up. And it looks like on the 24-hour candle, really nothing, right? So you haven't lost anything, you haven't gained anything. So everything that I said last week is going to remain true. We do, and again, we can go and look what's above us or what we have above and below. We do have a level to retest. We could see that by tomorrow morning at 63. That's right down below us. And that's, of course, a loss of that 63.2350. And then to the upside, there's not really a clean box, right? There's an overhead, smaller, lower time frame box here at 63.45, and then just the top is 63.50. So we're literally just reading and reacting. I'm not sure what you guys, who you guys are. I literally can't see this dude. That's crazy. I'll prove it to you. But if you're out there hating, if you're not helping people make or become profitable traders, which I have and have proof of, I've got receipts, I've got my strategy works. If you don't have consistent 1,500% trades on a regular basis with low risk and high reward, I literally could not give a shit less. Anyway, moving on. So ES, again, we're in a read and react scenario here. NQ's likely going to be the same with the 24-hour candle, opening up in the same range. So this is going to bring you down to the 4-hour where you've got a perfect retest off of the high right over here from Tuesday. Again, that would more than likely lead you down to that 23 level directly underneath you. But otherwise, we're in again a read and react scenario. Oop, okay. So it's not eligible for recommendation because it contains unoriginal or reproduced content. Don't know what that means. Is this guy throwing a fit in the chat? I can't see him, so you guys just let him waste his energy. I mean, I know it's frustrating uh, not being able to produce these type of gains, and you know, I mean, that's got to be frustrating. So we send our condolences. All right. Anyway, RTY. So let's look at the Russell here, and this one doesn't seem to have changed too much either. Again, we had a little bit more of an aggressive close to the downside, leaving empty space above. So I have a feeling that when we go down, if we go down, that we'll be back, and that likely would be around that 23.38 level. So, you know what, Potter, I've had enough. Let me move in. You're crashing out because I commented on his video. Oh, cool. Nice. Got him. All right, so if you are, of course, watching with us this week, I do currently still have a good decent amount of runners. Low risk, the trade's paid for. I've made all my money. The risk is gone, and of course, I am looking to see if I can squeeze out another new high on Neo up to 470. That's one of my focuses this week. I do want to congratulate a lot of the people inside of the Discord for another fucking amazing trade. And whoever's hating in here, if you're watching, you might be able to actually make money, right? I'm going to give you a tip, and I know you don't want it because you think I'm a bad guy, but listen, you could go and actually teach this to other people and make a difference in their lives, and then have something to hang your hat on when you're old. So this right there, empty space, this is what we target. We look for areas of consolidation. And of course, on the 4-hour, we did get confirmation on a potential new high with a 50% punchback over $69. And so those of you guys who took XYZ, the play hopefully does give you another new high up at, aggressive push up into the 82s. You could possibly be looking at this lower time frame trend, but we'll see where we open up. If we can open up on that $81 floor that we tapped, that could be pretty big and could allow for some more aggressive price targets like 87. But this one gave you an entry, gave a lot of us in the Discord gave us an entry over that 69. Or if you just wanted to look at the 24-hour candle, the 24-hour candle closed outside, right? Inside of this wick, aggressive. What is there to stop price? And this is where we a lot of the times we'll take trades. This is a perfect example of where we'll take trades, and what will end up happening is the news comes in and everybody is chasing us and they want to buy our contracts. And so those of you who have XYZ, expect to be able to sell these. Even if you have 80 plus, I would expect that the IV should be pretty high for the next couple of days. So Mason, pretty good, man. Pretty good. I did take a position. It does have earnings this week on ALK. If you notice, right, pretty similar setups. This one just has a little bit more of a open top with 3 rejections up at the top at 55. We're looking for a potential push, obviously, to 60. And, I got my eyes set up at up at 63, but we'll see if we can get up into the 69s we have all week. So it's getting listed on the S&P. So if you have it, you take your profits, reduce your risk, and then what is above, what is below. That's it. That's all you have to do. All right. That didn't sound good. Okay. So other than that, yeah, this is actually green screen. None of this is real. It's pretty cool, isn't it? I used AI. So I could put like some of my personal belongings back there. That's pretty cool. All right. So this live is for you guys. So if you have anything that you want me to take a look at, go ahead and drop that now, and we'll see if we can't build ourselves a good watch list. I will let you know. And again, if you're new here, we're looking for a particular setup, and it looks similar to this one. And so if it doesn't look that way, then I don't want that. Is he? Yeah, dude. Listen. He's just another statistic, man. Couldn't make it trading. Started a group. Buys prop firm accounts. It's the same shit. All right. Or yeah, I think he's on Robinhood or something like that. But I can't see his comments, which is the funniest part of all of this. So he's like kicking and screaming, dude. I literally can't read his comments. All right. So let's see. We're going to start with Tesla here. And I actually do. I think a couple of people in the Discord might have a position on this one. It is looking for a 333 target first. Ignore the scribbles. But I am anticipating a 340 target. Now, this bleeds into my lower time frame analysis, which tells me that there's empty space right here, and more than likely we're going to go hit right there at 338, and I have a suspected, again, target of 340. So mark what we'll see where we open up, but it is going to be, for those of you guys who are trading Tesla, it is again going to be on the lower time frame, 2-hour time frame. That's going to be 332.81. So no, this is not AI. Is real. It's my shit. It's my shit. That's the short-term forecast. If you're looking beyond that, you have a series of catalysts that have to break, right? You need to reclaim the floor at 348.50. You need to break through the median at 353.28. And then outside of 357, you're going to be met with an immediate catalyst, right? That's going to be a perfect box here with a 362 trigger, and a 362 trigger would likely drive you up. And this is a sneaky little gap right here. Not a lot of people see, but if I was targeting anything, that would be $400. So is that my hat? Oh my God, shut up, Junior. I hear I hate hearing it's real because it sounds like Israel. That's some real shit right there. Um, thank you guys. I appreciate it. I was a little, you know, I didn't know. If you don't know, if Stelio, if you're watching, we got the bear right here. That's the bear that Stelio sent me with the G. I'm not a lefty. One second, guess. You seen open today? I don't know. I just was, I just got up because I was worried about the same thing. I have no idea. Shit. You aren't suspecting a market pull. So I can this is the way this goes for me, Tic Tac, is I don't like play off my anticipations. It is quite literally a like so for example, on Tesla, when we start losing what we fought to regain, right? When key levels like right here, when that 317 is lost, those are the moments that I start looking at, okay, this is likely to fall. Um, and especially, in this moment, it would have to be a rejection off of 332 or at that 340 mark. But I think that empty space likely gets filled before we do make it down. But thank you, appreciate you. When do I get a PBS hat and get my fucking ass to the goddamn post office? All right. Is this dude still comedy? Yeah, I literally listen. If he doesn't believe me, you know, I can't. I can't see. I can't. This is the comments right here. I can't. I can't see anything. Yeah. No, unfortunately. He wants to join and have a debate. Here, so I've got a really good idea. You could sit down with me and you could debate D's. I think that would be a great place for us to start. All right, so keep dropping your request. I got under his skin because he knows I'm right. It's typical shit. No edge, whatever. DG, Dollar General. So this one is making more of an aggressive or more of a push down. Friday, you went up, wicked up, filled some empty space, and then closed back underneath that floor. This is the 4 hour. And 24 hours shows that you have at least held a floor. So what happens is going to be dictated by whether or not you could lose 108.77, and that's where you would target 106.87 and 105. And 105 is lost. Obviously, the target would be directly underneath you at that 102.80. So if you're playing it, play it down. Make sure you know what's above and what's below. No, I don't want to do that. Cal X. Okay. Let's look at the 24-hour here. So clearly I have a target already marked out, and yeah, I agree with whatever past me said. And that's going to be 56, right? 56 should be the floor. Now, this where you're going to have a weird area, and this is probably going to require, 4-hour analysis. But you'll have two separate, one box, one range. So you'll have a box here that's a catalyst, and then you'll have a range here. And that should be relatively easy to move through. But I would be looking at 57.50 after 55 or 56. So, um, yeah, it looks okay. Yeah. M MD NDB. Let's see here, 24-hour. Keep dropping those requests, guys. I'll get to them. Candle open. So MDB, right, doesn't have a box or anything up above it. So my natural inclination is to just mark out the floor at 231, right? Period. End of story. Now to your left, right, again, on the lower time frame, we really don't have anything. But if you use it, or if you're paying attention, lower time frame, we're looking at that 225.21. So go to the 2 hour, and again, you can kind of see where that struggles to be a floor, but that is again a floor. So that's what I see. It doesn't whenever, so like again, if I was taking this trade, especially outside of that 217, the target would be the top, right? That's it. And then at that point, yes, you could look up into that 257 if it could clear that top, and that's about it. There is a lot, yeah. All right, TTD. So this one shot up, and listen, this is kind of a weird area of analysis, but basically we split that up, and then you can actually, when you have that much empty space, oftentimes I'll split it in half, right, and like quarterly mark it out. And what that does is basically just splits that up into manageable price targets. And I'll look to my left to see if that's been, but this has been a pretty reliable targeting system. And it just runs off of that 50%, theory. Now, underneath 79.45, you have issues because there's a good chance you likely will come back and retest 77. At that point, if you go to the lower time frame, you already have kind of a weird setup where you have like this weird range and then the floor here at 80.50. So if you can get back up into this pocket of empty space, that might be the way to go. So, all right, sorry, the chat's, I'm trying to keep up. If you have questions or anything like that, Jesus, thanks for the roses and money guns. Jesus Christ, I just saw those. Yeah, keep dropping that. So this one obviously is, outside of my wheelhouse. It does have pretty decent structure up above it, but clearly lost its floor and unable to hold that. So I think for now, what you're going to have to rely on is, of course, your lower time frame setup, right? And that's going to likely draw you down to the 30-minute where you have this box right here. And so that's what you're watching for. I don't know what you're looking for, but 63.65 and then 60 cents even. TTD could be over, but I think if it can use that rejection to consolidate. So if you bounce on Monday and make your way back up, and I'm envisioning something that could look like this, right? That in turn would make a channel, right? But it's going to be determined by, of course, how we move, or rather, if you look on the 24-hour, if this can turn into a box. But I would say right now you could be looking at 77 and how it reacts there to kind of get a better interpretation. ADP. So ADP has looks like a nice bounce right here off the floor, and that's inside of this whole entire range. Now, if you go to the 4-hour, no, actually, let's stay on the 24-hour. So this is how I would actually look at this. Rather than encircling all of that, I would just box up what's above, and that's 305.65, which is Friday's high, and then you've got your low here. So if you're looking to the upside to get that, and I assume that you are, to get that empty space, you're going to need to basically punch through 307. And if you do, I would assume that that play should be set up. There isn't really a lower high of any kind. Like you have like a flat floor. So it's hard to draw a channel there, but I'd be aiming for 321 first. So, Equix. Keep dropping those requests, guys. All right, boxes it out. So you're in range, right? And until you open a candle outside of basically 800, you're likely to stay in this range. So, CMG. So good retest. Lower time frame should tip me off on whether or not this is capable of a reversal, and there it is. So you have a box right here. You've got a floor right here, and that's just what it is. It's just a floor. It's not, there's no catalyst there, but there's pockets, right, of empty space within this that kind of tell me that there is that potential. Of course, if you can reclaim 5480 and push over and outside of basically 55.75, where you'll be met with this gap at 57, and that's really it. I don't think you have much resistance above you. So all right, so I tell you guys all the time, I typically stay away from the Chinese stocks, but it did make a lower high, or a higher low, excuse me. And again, this just same thing with PDD, which we had some really good gains on, but it's tough to interpret these type of charts just because the fact that they do lack so much data. But I can tell you this for sure: gapping up above 123, I would be targeting 135. Stop it, dude. Stop, or I'll show the chat what you look like, dude. Talking to my cat. He has like this anti-lick thing on, but he's still somehow getting to his legs. Stop it, dude. All right. Baba. Netflix. So really aggressive push down underneath that 1250, right? And so I'm thinking, and I'm looking at the 4 hour too. It failed that channel that I drew too, right? So we had the second high. I'm thinking that there's likely going to be, and this is how I see it as well, basically have this floor right here and then a box directly underneath you. So the way that I see Netflix is at the moment, right, until you can recover, well, we'll leave that alone. Right now, I think you should be looking at 1185. Now, you do need to map out on the 30-minute. If you open up in range, listen, this box on Netflix is fire. That could be set up for a really good day trade on the 30-minute. The lampshade? What lampshade? You guys see this creepy ass bull right here? Look at his eyes. If you stare at his eyes for too long, dude, bad things happen. Actually, so I actually mentioned this one, and it could be put back on the watch list, and it's approaching earnings. I actually really like this one, so you get your pens out, because this one definitely gets added to the watch list. I think I might have looked at the earnings contracts. I don't remember if I didn't like those, but the target, I think might have been how earnings reacts, but I see 125 and a target of 120. Yeah, he's not a lampshade, dude. This is, I feel bad for my cat right now, but we're gonna show it off. Dude. Come here. It's a sad life, dude. Yeah, this will be on YouTube. Yeah, he's a little sunflower, dude. That they didn't have any like manly, anti-petting things. He's about to have a bodysuit on him. It's gonna be even worse. All right, let's look at Lyft. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and assume if you watch me that you're looking for empty space. Now, weekly show, and this is where you lose me because when you look at the weekly, it goes to the monthly, and the monthly just says you gotta wait. You know what I mean? So if you're looking to the upside, which honestly has a ton of empty space all the way up to 33, there's likely going to be an announcement. So watch, don't lose sight of this one. I think this one actually might have a play, and I'm not one to really trade lift a ton, but I would be looking. So you have empty space down to that 13. So regardless of the channel I just drew, you have a floor right here. So if you could get to that 13, that would make for a decent bounce. But what really intrigues me, and I'm going to write this down. I'm actually, for some reason, when I look at lift, I feel like their news is coming. So quote me on that. I feel like news is coming. It might be something I need to look at just for the contracts and see how cheap I could get in just on something speculative. But right now you have a 4 hour, 2 hour box. So I think getting outside of $15 is actually not a bad idea. So, oh, you know what? Before I leave, let's set an alert right there. Very cool. GTLB. So yeah, not couldn't catch me with on, but I mean, I will say it does have, it is intriguing in some ways where it has this pretty, I don't know. Um, okay, so you got a floor here. Okay, so I mean, again, I thrive off of empty space. When I look at this one, I just see a target, and this is just instinctive, right? I see if you can make over 40, $47, yeah, there's a couple of resistances ahead of you, but because there's no real boxes, I would just say you're looking at a 53 and then possibly up into that 57. So, but that's only if you can actually get above 47. If not, right, then the way that you bounce could be indicative of a potential move down, but that wouldn't happen until you lose this box. So, all right, FFAI, future Faraday, future intelligent electric. So this is another one of those that, it's hard to sign off on, but I will tell you this. Where you look at where this is something I teach in the PotterBox workshop. If anybody hasn't taken it, I teach this, right? Where you open up basically where you need to recover and immediately short back down. Right? Now that may have left some empty space for some other rainy day where we can flip back green. But that oftentimes is the spike that, kills the vibe. So I would venture to guess that you might see some retest, but ultimately underneath 180, Faraday's likely going to do the same thing it always does, which is fall. It's some like next Netflix fund trust thing. Must be missing the chat, guys. I don't even see this Apple request. 4:30. I'm looking on my phone right now. I was gonna see if that dork wanted it. To see what are we? I don't even know. Listen, none of these dudes, no matter how hard they try, could never show off anything. I would guarantee you that the people in my Discord would outperform whatever signals the people in my Discord on their own without me would perform far better. So if you're not getting 1,500%, 473%, and I could literally do this all day. I mean, all day. I don't know if you could, yeah, you can't see underneath you, but I mean, our gains are, so I mean, don't embarrass yourself. I mean, seriously, for your own sake, 310%, 430%, what is this? 881%, 428%. Should I keep going? 1,800%, 958%. What the hell? So again, I don't know who's talking shit, but you should probably find somebody else. There's a reason why I talk shit. You'd be talking shit too. Look at that. Just on average, it's beautiful. Look at it. Gaze upon. Look at that. You guys probably don't even, and that's just like normal. right? I mean, not even, I'd say that's subnormal actually. We hardly ever post 100%, 500%. It's crazy. Anyway, you can't see it. Oh, if your screen is sideways, then you can't see it. The gains page is going to look nuts on XYZ. Our risk is incredibly low. And that's what makes this so sweet. If you look at the actual contracts the price that he bought these contracts on, this is Dow, and he bought them for $50 a piece, sold them for 280. Neo Trade, I bought contracts for $2, for $3, and sold them for 40 and $50. I mean, we literally buy contracts that most day traders buy. We buy them the night before, and the setup is there. This person bought these contracts for $3, sold them at 19. And again, you have 50 contracts, 100 contracts, you're still using incredibly low risk. So you don't need to have a lot of money to do this. Look at that, 100 contracts at 6 cents. If you're looking at the regular view, 6 cents to 50 cents. It's ridiculous. All right, anyway, keep dropping those requests, guys. Let's see here. Apple, let's look at Apple. So everybody in here, listen, there are a vast amount of people who are anticipating this upside move on Apple. Now, we also need to look at, which makes me, I'm not rethinking this. I'm just looking at what we see in front of us. Now, there has been some heavy overhead pressure because of that 213.44, 213.50. Now, moving to the 4 hour, we have spotted an opportunity, right, to make a decent amount of money, 400% gain if we can move up into that 222 into this empty space above. But I will say, right, we do have empty space down, and at some point, if we lose 203, we have to actually look at the facts, and 193 might be a setup. But that being said, again, I think just we're being patient. This rejection didn't actually. Every rejection pulls back to the floor. This rejection has not. So it just, yes, it does seem like a matter of time, and it is still low risk. So if you started accumulating some and then hedging yourself, you know, it wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. So, all right, keep dropping your requests, Google. So Google, to me, again, it has earnings. When I go down and really, again, I'm great at, you guys know this, we slam earnings trades, and we're one of the few groups who's able to see these trades before they happen. But it's only through this type of price action that we're able to see those potential moves. That's why we like ALK, right? And it's super low risk, but ALK is a good example. It's a slow mover. So, you know, again, my expectations aren't high. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. But above 55.50, right, we have a ton of empty space. So go back. So with Google, you have a catalyst that's firing right now at 184.50. That only gives you a 190 price target, which is where that pocket of empty space right here to your left ends. So I think on earnings, you have a $200 target. And then ultimately, you know, we got to be real here. If this has this range at a 202.85 median, then or cost basis, then I would assume that we're looking at new highs for Google. But, you know, again, it's moving in the right direction to go and fill that empty space. So usual per se, he loses. That's awesome. I don't know, dude. You should stick around and watch. You would actually, I swear to God, you'd make money. Maybe God brought you here for a reason, or Allah. I don't know who your God is. All right, keep dropping your requests. I spotted it on my phone, on my other phone. So HD is not, and again, I should be saying this. This is not an opportunity that I'm looking to take advantage of. It is both at the median right now, holding up. It's got empty space above you. You could get rid of all of this and really just focus on the box that's right here, and then the floor that's directly underneath you, because those are the only two, and you're dead slap center. So that's going to require that you go to a lower time frame where you'll go ahead and do the same shit, right? Box it out just like that. So candle close over 360.50. The opportunity would be in here, but again, you'd have to measure that and see if that's worth it for you. I do see a lower high on that pop up that right there. So there's a possibility that there is a channel, if there is a channel. My point here, right, is that if you are able to reclaim this and you are able to go and punch through 369.50, there is a gap right here, and that is likely to get filled. So will Disney fail again? You know, part of me wants to believe that. I mean, I look at the weekly chart, the overall picture, and it just seems like it's so again, if you guys have taken the workshop, or if you've watched my free YouTube shit, or heard me talk about this at all, it's about how we react, right? When you hit a wall, sellers have a job to do. They're meant to push price down. And how price responds to that is oftentimes going to dictate what price does from there. And what's underneath you will help you define that. And you see that we bounce off cost basis. So with the frail overhead that we have, right, which basically we don't have a ton of resistance above us, and the fact that there's empty space all the way to 130, I think Disney's just waiting on the announcement, right? 126 could be a target, but I think Disney's likely to go on a decent bender and make a move even up into the 136. But ultimately, you know, you look at the weekly, you look at the monthly, you know, this is it. This is where Disney has to make that move. So it is possible, you know, for sure. If you go to the monthly, even, you can see the same level, right? That same 118.45. So yeah, it's a community of traders. It's not baby formula signals. Yeah, if anybody in here is watching and doesn't want to become an independent trader, but just wants somebody to bottle feed them signals, you got the wrong guy. Also, you got the wrong mindset. Yeah, so I see it, you know, just keep an eye on what's underneath you. So, MU, keep dropping the request, guys. I'm going. All right, so this one, you know, it's hard not to see the lower high that you made here, right? And that definitely, if you see the points of contact within this channel, this is definitely in play, right? Regardless of this dip out, I've talked about this in my class too, we recover channels and typically that leads us up to a big run. But the fact of the matter is you're leaning on this large box, and that is going to be basically last week's low of 111, that would start guiding you into that empty space underneath you. But ultimately, that's going to be determined by how we open up on Monday and deal with the empty space that is above you, and it is above you. So there is some day trades. And this is where, if you're a day trader and you follow me, there's so many opportunities within this chart. There's a box here, there's empty space up to 118, there's empty space all the way up to 123. So there's opportunities, but ultimately, if you're looking short, it's a rejection off of 115 and then a loss of the floor underneath you. You're likely going to use some of the previous sell walls that you're using now as resistance, as basically an entry to drop back down. So if that sounds like Chinese, what I'm saying is, basically, if you were to pop back up, you would use the drop back into 114 or the shot down under 113. So we can start chart. That's funny. SoFi, 24-hour. Try to take everybody's request here. I am recording. If you guys don't mind, you know, again, go drop a like and a comment on the YouTube channel. It's about to hit 1,500 subscribers, which is cool. All right, so this is yeah, so if you're new here, especially if you're new here, I cannot help you. I am not an all-time highs trader. I'm not ashamed to admit it. It's just not where my cup of tea is at, and I am not good at it. Because I do not have any structure to run off of, it makes my life a little more difficult. Now, I can tell you what's underneath you, and this can be basically your support, right? And a bailout plan or a downside trade, but you are literally leaning and holding that 2160. And the trigger to the downside would be a 2114 drop, which would lead you into the box below, which would be here directly at 2020. So you have, again, the opportunity to stay in the range that you created here and be bullish. Or, I mean, you could still drop to 21 and be bullish, but ultimately right now, nothing. You're reading, reacting. So month, oh, I can't see 430's comments. It's weird. Um, so yeah, 430. If you're trying to get into the Discord, or anybody else, monthly could be too easy. I could make a lot of monthly selling or money selling monthly memberships. It doesn't make sense because then you're coming in, you don't know what my strategy is, you don't know what we're talking about, and you're trying to raw dog your way through it, and it's just going to be a really rough ride when all of the information that I teach is, it's on YouTube. It's not in chronological order, but it is on my YouTube. If you go to PotterStocks Trading, you can find me there, go to the playlist, go to the educational, that's me, and you can go and click on any one of these videos and they'll be really helpful. Um, to get you up to speed and make a decision on whether or not you even want to buy anything, because I have had a lot of people be able to watch my YouTube and never pay me a dime, which is cool with me. So, but Tesla's on there. I did that when it is recorded. So, APP, not for me. I get it because never mind. Um, So, so what's above you is too shitty to be called empty space. You immediately go to the 4 hour and you're in box country. Now, you do have on the 24 hour a box below you, right? About there. And so that's what you wicked down and retested. And that's basically where yesterday's low or Friday's low would be your entry down to that 340 above, and this is really all I can offer here, which you've already, I mean, you kind of did retest a high at 376, but the next target would be at 382.33. But this is not a good chart. If you want to drop your request and let me know what are your intentions, right? What are you looking at? Disney does look good. I just, again, watch this YouTube back. You can scroll and look for when I pull up the ticker. You don't have to watch the whole video. Um, yeah. There you go. Yeah, big O. That's fucking weird, man. Some of your guys' requests are like Zarko. His PDD request just didn't come up. I'm having to look at my other chat. So we traded PDD. Don't mind the candle. You didn't lose anything. Now, if you gap down underneath 107 or 107.50, yeah, there is a good, or 107 flat, excuse me. Yeah, there is a chance possibly go lower. But ultimately, we're looking for the empty space up to 115 to get filled. And that is what we're aiming for. I didn't do PDD. I did BABA. Bank of America to the upside. So I think this one looks good short term, based on what it's doing now. I would assume maybe Monday, but anyway, over 47.80. You are looking for a move up into the empty space up to, and from what I can tell, yeah, that should be 48.50. It would be your target there. And I do believe that this is operating inside of what is yet to be announced as a channel. So, definitely keep an eye out at 47. But yes, this will be on YouTube. This will be on YouTube. Please drop a like and a comment if you do watch it. I would appreciate it. Thank you. NVIDIA, Stephanie, let's see here. So again, this one is another all-time highs, and I have this one above a prehistoric channel that NVIDIA has operated, and it is outside of it. So now this is a lot of the times where you'll see some profit taking. You did leave a gap down below. So that does basically tell me that there's likely going to be a retest or a move back down. And maybe this week we could make that happen, but before that does, you're operating inside of this lower time frame channel. You're going to be able to utilize that. right? And it is a uh, basically like you could stretch this out and it does actually work as a whole channel. That being said, underneath 170.88, I'm going to assume that you will be making a new low. Now, when you have a wide fluctuation in price, there's typically going to be a channel. I believe that NVIDIA will be pulling back into this channel. So don't expect for that entire gap to get filled immediately, possibly 168 or 167.90, which it will be off of this wick right here. And that could be a target to the downside. So, but anyway, if you do short it and the gap is your target, you know, you could trim at this imbalance and then watch how it reacts. Um, oh, it was so funny this morning. I was sorry, but I was watching this dude's live. He was in Palestine, drones overhead. I literally heard an explosion behind him, but I sent him a gift. Or I was like sending him galaxies and whatever. Um and he asked me what my name was, and I typed out Garrett, and obviously English isn't his first language. And so he's trying to pronounce it, and he ends up calling me Groot. Like, I am Groot. He literally calls me Groot for the entirety of like the next hour. He was like, Allah Akbar, God, bless you, Groot. I loved it. Thought about changing my screen name to that. All right, so let's look at the next one. Sorry, story time. AMPY Amplify. So this one looks like it's operating in a channel here, clearly. And you have a tight area of consolidation that's sitting above this red candle, and then you have a punch down through that box. So there's likely a 4-hour box above you. Yep, on the money. So you would be needing a 373 punch up, and that could give you a target up in the 450s. But ultimately, man, this isn't something that I see as like a opportunity for me for sure, but you can tell that this right here, that 390, that is where we would be looking to fill up the rest of that empty space. So that is not something that I like though. I need more volume. So CMG, so I have this one operating in a channel weekly, came down, retested the top of the box underneath you right here at 352.55. So now that you've come back down and you've retested the volume, it's time to see if you grabbed enough volume to get going, and you do have a 4-hour channel that you are operating in. You're inside of this box here with a 54.40 top. And so basically over 54.44, we are looking at a 55 target, or basically a retest of this floor at 55.17. Upon that move, if you could break above that floor, that's where you could start looking. Yeah, I think I talked about this already. Actually, 57 would be your target beyond that. So ALK is something, Oscar, that I have for earnings. I like this one a lot for earnings. It's as good as it gets when it comes to 1, 2, 3. I likely will grab some hedges targeting like $41, worst case scenario, or maybe 45. But ultimately, I'm looking for some of this empty space to get filled. So, Mara, ooh, Marriott looks fucking terrible. So Mara actually, and I still think there's a play here. And again, crypto is kind of struggling a little bit right now, but Mara is currently holding itself up above this box, right? And so cost basis is 1927. If it breaks and falls, then we're looking at retest all the way back down to 1789. On the other side of this, if we can get outside of 2060 candle close, there is a perfect target of 2250 directly up above us, and that's a pretty big gain. Is this guy still in here? Enough that you should be learning. So I can learn this strategy for free. Yeah, you don't need to pay me a dime. My Discord is filled with people who do the exact same thing as I do. They have the exact same strategy as I do. We're all looking for the same thing. So we become a giant scanner. That's the usefulness, right? You have me there, right? I can take your request, you can ask me questions. That's also, a W. But at the end of the day, is it essential for your learning process? No. I think that when you take the work, if you decide to take the workshop, now the workshop's different because it has everything, everything all inside of it that I am meant to teach you guys, as well as testing platforms that you can go and take test on the information, note taking platforms, flashcards that are available for you, all on that. And that's comes with 6 months in the Discord. So if you get that, then you get 6 months to interact with me. But then after that, I mean, the goal is to make independent traders, and if you are independent, then that means you don't need me. And again, that is what I'm here to do. That has been my goal, and I have accomplished, and I'm still accomplishing that. So, all right. Anyway, so that's how I feel about Mara. Keep dropping those requests. Let's go. Don't say that, Potter Nation. Get out of here. Dollar General has a. I put that one on the YouTube, PD. I'll post this as soon as I get done. I'll go ahead and get this ready to upload. I'll post this as soon as I get done with it, and then if you guys don't mind, drop a like and a comment on that for me. All right, VFC, VF Corporate. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So let's go look back, right? And let's see if it's ever done this before. So it has left empty space, old empty space back to 2022. Now here it did manage to fill up its empty space, but it sure did it in a way that made you suffer. So let's just go off and say, it does fill up its empty space to a degree. So I think yes, it did. And before I go any further, usually when I see this, right, that wide fluctuation in price, I assume, yeah, there is likely going to be an uptrend, and it probably looks like that. And that's why you're basing at the bottom like this. And that's why you're bouncing off that floor at 1150. So it does have a good setup especially if you're in, longer expiration stuff, to make it outside of 1320. But obviously this 1155 floor is essential to hold. And then at that point, you don't have much above you, right? You have this weird range. So above 1312, and then, you're off. Chart Texas. I don't know. So, okay, so that right there, listen, when I see wicks like that on oil stocks, I'm not gonna lie, not to put any fear in this, but like it's scary. Wide wicks like that typically are the start of range or the continuation of range. And so when I see this, I see empty space filled up, a new high, and that could very well create that range. And this calls you down to a lower time frame. Where at the moment you're still holding a floor here at 149.55. You still have structure that's usable directly underneath you here. So, all right, let's keep it moving. CVX. Oh, I mean CV. I just did that one. XYZ. So I'll go over this one again, and I did do this at the beginning of the video, so you guys can check that out. But again, congrats if you got this one. If you're in the 80s or you're in the 75s or anything of that nature, this is a perfect play. A perfect play. Exactly what we're looking for over here to the left. Nice punch back over here after the retest of 65.14. And so that's, plays not done. There is a lower time or a downtrend, I guess. Well, no, actually it got pulled underneath that downtrend. So this is definitely an area where I would reduce my risk, and where we open up is going to dictate how this goes, because ultimately if you gap down, if you're somewhere around 76, then I would be waiting for the gap fill to take profit. But ultimately this is something that we got to map it out tomorrow morning. You have to. So, but until then, 81, that's what you need to go and recover. AI. So this one, and again, limited upside when it comes to empty space. You still have a target of 31.55 that I believe is still a probable target, and your cost basis. Right now, this is an attempt to regain that floor, and it's struggling to do that. So, I mean, the answer is there, right? First of all. Now, below you is 28.11. Right, wick to wick right there, 28.11. That's what you're holding up, at least right now. And then if you are looking further down, it's 27.80, that if you lose that, you would be also looking down. So this is a weird setup. I don't think it's enough of a rejection to necessarily call it bearish yet, and that's something that's important that why we look at candle closes the way that we do. But anyway, thank you guys for tapping the screen, liking the live. I appreciate you. I see you guys. Move your fingers for me. So I mapped this one out, and again, this is weird. To keep this simple, right? Now I have a lower time frame box, but it's outside of 1830, right? You are above that 1465, but in order to move any higher and start reaching up to 22, it is going to be over 1830. Toast, ANF. Okay, hold on, I'll look at that one next. Let's see here. So this is an interesting setup because, again, as far as empty space is concerned, Toast has filled up the majority of it, and it's likely to go and hit that 49 target. Now, this is going to serve as a box, and so that would give you two targets, one at 50, one at 53.75. I'll keep tapping, you keep mapping. There you go. That sounds like a deal. What's up, my guy? Yeah? What you meowing about? On a, okay, why is the top of the box? That's just where the points of contact are. It's not a box either. It's just a straight up resistance. And yeah, that's it, guys. I'm looking for the empty space. Don't overthink it. It's a decent, pretty. I mean, that's an 8 out of 10 as far as the earnings setup is concerned. The only concern I have is that it doesn't move enough, but I think it can. So, uh, grab. I've done TTD as well, guys. So make sure to watch the YouTube video tonight. I'll post it as soon as I get done. So just watch for that to get uploaded. It doesn't take long. Grab needs to break 550 on the weekly. That's a period, end of story. The 24-hour supports this theory. And you're trying to do that. So until you actually do, and then midday 568 is lost or gone, then then you can move or look ahead of you. But this is a hot dog water stock. It's not a hot dog water stock. It looks like it's going to run, but I don't think it's worth it unless you're like aiming up to 7. You know, uh, Tiva. Okay, so I think I was right about my channel. So right now you're dealing with this wick 1587, but you're rejecting the floor at 1650. So this is your catalyst up, and then below you, I don't really see much other than 1485 next. So that would be below Friday's low. So that's your up and that's your down. I mean, listen, if you guys drop your request and you let me know what it is that you're trying to accomplish, like down, say puts, calls, like something, and that'll just help me. Yeah, that'll help me chart your shit. Like, yeah, deck looks good. Pause. So this one, I mean, it's pretty simple, right? Not to be overcomplicated. below, and you're in a box. So when you're in a box, you're in a read and react situation. Above you, you have 556, right? And that's outside of 40 or 5488. And then to the downside, you've got 5133, and that would give you a target of 4913. But it's just a little rough. So Chewy calls. All right, let's take a look at Chewy. Let's look at the higher time frame, and let's see if we can come to a conclusion here. So this one failed, and it's not necessarily over because you did come back down and you retested. But typically, when you fall back under something, the sign on whether or not you're going to go up is on whether or not you can break back up above that. And you closed up against it. So I could see Chewy going back up. It's got a decent channel here as well, looking something like that. So I think your first obstacle or target is going to be at 40 above you. Now, that is not a box, right? It is not. And I know I drew a box on it, but it's not a box. So focus on the floor, right up at that 40, 50, $40 mark. And then from there, I would say lower time frame. And this is where it gets a little bit messy, but you have a box up above you here. You have a box right there, and you have a box right here. So all of those need to actually trigger. But you have a good place to do that. Now, where you could get in, obviously above Friday's highs, and look at the empty space that it made on its way out. So I would, when I look at this instinctively, it tells me that you're likely going to come retest and curl. And I think that might play directly in the hands of the channel that you're operating in as well on a lower time frame uptrend. So open, long. So for sure, right? Now, where this goes from here, I have one target and that's $3, right? That's the first target that I have for open door. It's moving through a weekly box, absolutely fabulous. But ultimately, yeah, I'd say $3 is going to be a huge target. From there, you could start looking at 375 and 470. So you got it, Kayla. IQ options are $8 for $2 strike. Worth it. I appreciate it. All right, so let's take a look at it. Weekly. So again, usually good setups kind of pop off the chart. This one doesn't have the craziest setup, but it does look like it has some decent structure here on the weekly. And so we'll mark that out. Now on the 24-hour, this could change. So it does look like you kind of shot over that $2 mark, and it's 220. That would be your target here above you. Now from there, right, this is where you kind of got to get rid of all of this. And yes, this is still a box, but now in the most recent price action, you still have a floor of 217, a cost basis of, wait a minute, I'll be on 235, and that's where I'd be looking for a 260 target. So I mean, $8 strikes. So that's a situation, my guy, that, is kind of, I wouldn't say it's outside of my wheelhouse, but I would say that there's a series of weekly. So if you want to see a move like that to $8, you got to be watching this weekly chart. And I would say the weekly chart to some degree supports at minimum a reversal as long as you can move through this 225, because you have recovered the floor here to your left and here at $2. So this is moving in the right direction to make that, but whether or not it gets to $8, that's beyond me. So, uh, Coke, yeah. So this one is going into earnings with an awful lot of consolidation. So I do expect a move. It's got a good target down below at 64, and it also has a target up above, which is actually at well, yeah, I think this is all-time highs. So ultimately, you'd be looking at like, 75 or 76. I would be looking somewhere in that range because if it is all-time highs, I really have nothing else to offer. Google's not on my watch list, but it does have earnings this week. It's not for me. If you guys trade it, that's totally fine. Just because I don't doesn't mean you can't. There's a lesson to learn there. If however it goes, but there is a pocket of empty space and a potential target of $200. Yeah, 6250s. That's what I have, Oscar. Look at that wick on Coke. Which one? What are you talking about? There's a lot of wicks on that one. Uh-oh, Coke? Definitely got more potential up, 133 on the 4 hour. Some might call that an inverse head and shoulders, so I mean, that doesn't look bad. Over 118 would be blue skies. All right, what else do we got, guys? Right. Kava. What direction are we looking at this? So 24-hour. So Kava is inside of a weekly range. Basically, that range is from, up here to down there. Now, inside of that range, we did, and some of the people in the Discord were able to accomplish a play up to 92, which was the previous top of the box. That means that is now your current resistance, right? Above you, you have a range that you need to go and recover the floor of 93 and make it through 96, where you could access the rest of that empty space and go for a 111 run. I also have spotted, well, we'll see how this works out actually. Yeah, I have spotted this channel here. So honestly, if you can curl up and this is going to take some lower time frame analysis, but if you can make it through a couple of these boxes, especially this one here at the top, which has a 90-30 floor and a 91-20 cost basis, that would be the trigger to go into new highs. BA looks like, and I've talked about this one, that's not something that I would go trade down unless and what you do have. So there's some good and bads here. The good part is BA is not a mystery in terms of where the break is likely going to happen. You have a very clear floor at 227, right? And if you go back to the 4 hour, what's going to happen is you'll see that that's basically the top of the box over here to your left, and that's what price is trying to hold itself up above. So if you were to trigger below 226, that's where I would say sure, short it. But at the moment, right, because we don't have that, if you make another rotation back up, eventually one or the other is going to fail. Your sellers or buyers, they're going to give up. So right. AVGO. All right, we're past an hour here, so I'm gonna start closing up shop. And this watch list. Oh, thanks for the gifts, guys. Jesus. The watch list this week is sparse, but I want to again take a minute to remind everybody in here that, and that does not mean that there's not more out there. I'm gonna look myself too, but um, remember we just came off of a 4 week 3 week crazy streak. Not to say that this year hasn't been much different. We've had a few months that are less productive than others, but we are in an area where the market seems to be doing a lot more, you could say consolidating, but even just anticipating. And so remember that if you personally cannot find a setup, that is your sign to kind of sit on the sidelines. So, but anyway, let's go ahead and finish this up. AVGO candle open inside of the previous day's candle opening and engulfing that. But it is a stock that, just because it closes flat up against that downside doesn't mean that it can't go and reverse. So what you'll do is just draw the box around this. And at the moment, because you are holding up that floor, you could basically say that outside of 284, you're going to go and retest the floor of this box at 285.77 before you do anything at all. Now, your trigger to the downside should be marked out by this range, and that's 50% of the range. So a candle close on the 30-minute below 282.22 would be a trigger down. One thing I am seeing already, and we'll see if this holds any stock, pun intended. So sure how I feel about that. So, but anyway, yeah, with AVGO, this is definitely a stock that, I could see some pullbacks on, especially under 280. So, AMD, I only see one other target on the weekly, and that's 171. The 24-hour has you curling down. And what I'm describing, or what I think is, I mean, it's definitely more of a range. As soon as you go to the 4-hour, any sort of box dissipates. And so basically what this is retargeting that 160 and then obviously moving up into that 165. But as far as I'm concerned, there is an earnings season coming up as well, and so it is possible to potentially see a target of 185, which is the top resistance over to our left. But that thing I think would be 173, which that should be your next target. ANF. Yeah, so I actually talked about this one. It might move a little bit slower, but this could be a good recovery stock. You do have a flat resistance directly in front of you at 105. Whether you basically need to open and push over 94, which is the 50% mark, and the first green candle over here to your left on the 24-hour candle. You wicked right off of it. And so that's telling you that if you can recover that, then you would have a chance of making it up to that final top. And I think at that point you could be looking for a punchback. So, all right, keep going, and then I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8:30. This is I just want to forewarn folks. It lasts 3 weeks of summer for my kids, so I will be taking as much time as I can to spend time with them and possibly do something with them before the end of or beginning of their year. All right, 220.50 is your target above on snow. I wouldn't be surprised if it gaps up to that. Now, we're going to have to reassess this in the morning because ultimately what happens on this will be dictated by how you respond to that 221. But you have protection programs, if you will, underneath you with a top here at 215, and then underneath 211, you would be looking to the floor. Starbucks. So Starbucks is an interesting setup, obviously coming into earnings, and yes, there is a target of 105 on earnings potentially. There's also a target down of 87. So for Starbucks, I actually don't hate it for a potential earnings setup, for sure. Yeah, Starbucks has, oops. Yeah, Starbucks has a box on box, and then trigger up above, so it looks pretty good. Yeah, no problem. Gamble on this going into earnings, I don't see it. Chill, I'm not. No, I missed that one. I'll go ahead and put a pin on it here. So if you're watching back on YouTube, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, drop a comment, all that good stuff. I'm excited about this week. I don't have a whole lot. The last the last 3 weeks I've had a whole post-it note full of watch list tickers. So I'll take my time tonight and try to see if I can't add anything to that watch list on my own. But again, just if my watch list tells me what I'm going to be doing that week. If it's not a lot, then I don't expect to trade a lot unless something ends up opening up. But otherwise, yeah, we'll take a look at that as I walk out the door. But otherwise, oh yeah, so we can't forget about Target, and I will write that down. But that one is its earnings are still a little bit far away. I'm looking for Target to go and make a break for that 105. You could set an alert on top of 104.33, and if you end up crossing that, you could be looking at a target of 112 and 113. And ultimately, I think Target gets back up to the 122s. So Jehovah's Thickness is a crazy name. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 8:30. I appreciate you guys watching, tuning in. Go drop a comment on the videos. If you guys been watching, have any gains to share that you have not shared on the videos that I post, you can post pictures now, so it's pretty cool. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. You guys have a wonderful evening. Get some goddamn rest. You got it. That's funny. Peace out.